I was condemned by my friends for being poor, until I made a decision that changed my life. The crystal champagne flute felt alien in my hand, a fragile prop in a play I never auditioned for. Around me, the penthouse buzzed with the careless laughter of the rich. This was Serena's world, a universe of marble floors and panoramic city views. I was just a visitor, a scholarship student from the wrong side of the tracks they'd adopted as a pet project. "Ren, darling, you simply must try this," Serena would say, pressing a caviar-topped blinny into my hand, her smile never quite reaching her cold, calculating eyes. I clung to these crumbs of acceptance, mistaking condescension for kindness. In this gilded cage I was the canary, singing for my supper, too naive to see I was there for their amusement, not their camaraderie. The air smelled like expensive perfume and underlying judgment. My friends, Serena, our queen, whose family money was so old it had dust on it, Blair, her shadow, whose own new wealth was a constant source of insecurity she masked with vicious loyalty, and Pierce, the charming, oblivious heir who floated through life on a trust fund. They were my entire social universe. I was their humble accessory. They paid for my coffee, gave me their cast-off designer bags, and constantly reminded me how lucky I was to be included. I was. My mother worked 2 jobs. My world was thrift stores and student loans. Their world was a fantasy, and I was desperate to believe I belonged, even as a supporting character in their story. That night the air was thick with tension. Serena's parents were away and the party was her declaration of independence. I saw her arguing with Blair in a hushed, frantic whisper near the balcony. "It has to be perfect," Serena hissed, her face a mask of stress. I thought it was about the party. I was so blind. I felt a pang of sympathy, wanting to help, to be a real friend. But when I approached, their conversation ceased. 2 masks of perfect smiles snapped back into place. "Ren." "There you are," Serena cooed, linking her arm with mine. "Don't look so serious. This is a celebration." The chill I felt had nothing to do with the air conditioning. She showed it off to all of us, holding her wrist aloft so the lights caught the stones. "It's a Prescott heirloom," Serena announced, referring to her family name. "Appraised at $50,000, my grandmother wore it at her debutante ball. The diamond bracelet was cold and magnificent. Blair fawned over it. Pierce whistled, impressed. I just nodded, feeling the vast, unbridgeable chasm between my life and theirs. A piece of jewelry that could pay off my mother's mortgage. Serena's eyes lingered on me, a strange, appraising look. "It's a symbol of legacy, Ren, something that can't be bought with a scholarship." The words were a velvet-trapped slap. I just smiled, as I always did. The music died, the laughter stopped. Serena's scream was a sound of pure theatrical panic. "It's gone, the bracelet, it's gone." The party froze. Phones came out. Security was called. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic bird in a cheap cage. I felt a sickening dread, a primal fear that in a room full of millionaires, the finger of blame would point to the one person who understood the value of $50,000. I helped search, my hands trembling, checking under couches and tables, a desperate performance of innocence. I was so busy trying to prove I wasn't a thief, I didn't see the trap being laid at my feet. The head of security, a grim-faced man, approached Serena. He whispered in her ear, his eyes scanning the crowd before landing on me. He nodded toward the coat closet. My stomach plummeted. They walked to the pile of designer jackets and furs, and there on top was my sad, threadbare thrift store coat, the one Serena had gifted me with a speech about needing to look the part. The security guard reached into the pocket, and he pulled out the glittering diamond bracelet. A collective gasp rippled through the room. Every single eye turned to me. The world narrowed to a pinprick of light. Serena didn't yell, she didn't scream thief, she was better than that. She walked toward me, the picture of devastating disappointment. Tears welled in her eyes. "Ren," her voice broke, a masterful performance of heartbreak. "We took you in, we treated you like family. I knew you struggled, I knew you were envious, but to steal from me, from my family." She shook her head, a single tear tracing a path down her cheek. "This is a sickness, I feel so sorry for you." The manipulation was perfect. She reframed my crime as a pathetic character flaw, a disease of the poor. Her pity was more humiliating than any anger could ever be. The aftermath was a blur of institutional coldness, expulsion from the university for conduct unbecoming. My scholarship was revoked immediately. The story was in the campus paper, a sanitized version that protected the Prescott name. My phone blew up with messages, not of support, but of vitriol from people I barely knew. My own small world had collapsed. I was a pariah. I packed my meager belongings in a single duffel bag, the silence in my dorm room deafening. I was being erased, my future cancelled because of a lie I couldn't fight. The gates of that gilded world slammed shut, leaving me in the cold. I thought it was over. I was wrong. A few days later, a video surfaced online. It was a close-up, shaky cam shot of me sobbing uncontrollably after the accusation, my face distorted with panic and despair. The caption read, "The thief's meltdown, no remorse, just self-pity." It had been expertly edited to make me look hysterical and guilty. Blair's work, no doubt. It went viral in our small social circle. That was the nail in my coffin. Any lingering doubt about my guilt was erased. I was now a meme, a cautionary tale about the poor girl who bit the hand that fed her. I moved back into my mother's cramped, agging apartment. The shame was a physical weight on my chest. She held me while I cried, never once doubting my innocence. "We are not defined by their lies, Ren," she'd whisper, her own eyes tired from her double shifts. But we were. Job applications I sent out went unanswered. The world had branded me. I'd lie on my narrow bed, staring at the water-stained ceiling, the sound of Serena's voice. "I feel so sorry for you," echoing in my mind. The anger hadn't come yet. All I felt was a hollow, crushing despair. The turning point came in a most mundane way. I was cleaning out a closet, drowning in self-pity, when I found a box of my old things. On top was a worn introductory textbook on Python programming from a Gen Ed class I'd aced. I traced the embossed letters on the cover. Logic, code, a world of ones and zeros where things either worked or they didn't. There was no ambiguity, no malicious gossip, no weaponized pity. It was a system built on truth and function. In that moment, a spark ignited in the darkness of my soul. A decision. I would not just survive, I would conquer. My revenge was not plotted in a day. It was built in the silent, grueling hours of the night. I taught myself to code. While my former friends were clubbing, I was debugging. I lived on cheap coffee and a simmering, focused rage. I worked a soul-crushing data entry job during the day, my fingers flying across the keyboard, and at night I built worlds with code. I didn't see it as a path to wealth, but as a path to freedom. Every line of code was a brick in a fortress they could never breach. The pain of the past became the fuel for my future. The idea for Etheria came to me in a dream, a puzzle game that was less about flashy graphics and more about elegant, logical problem-solving. It was the antithesis of Serena's garish, material world. I spent every free moment for a year building it, crafting each level with painstaking care. It was my child, my legacy, built from the ashes of my old life. I didn't have money for marketing or a fancy developer account. With a trembling hand and a heart full of futile hope, I uploaded it to the App Store one Tuesday night. I expected nothing. I went to bed, my phone silent. A week later, my phone exploded, not with insults but with notifications, sales, reviews. Etheria had been featured on a popular tech blog. It was viral, downloads skyrocketed. Emails flooded in from investors from tech giants. It was a whirlwind I was completely unprepared for. A major gaming company made an offer, a life-changing sum of money that had more zeros than I could comprehend. I signed the papers in a sterile lawyer's office, my hand steady. The money wasn't the victory. It was the key to a door I had been locked out of for years. I became a ghost in the machine of their world. With my new capital, I began to invest, operating through a labyrinth of holding companies and a sharp, no-nonsense lawyer named Ms. Evans. I was a silent partner, a name on a document. My obsession was not just wealth but intelligence. I had alerts set for their family businesses. I watched, I waited. I learned that Prescott Industries was over-leveraged, bleeding money. Blair's father's construction firm was facing massive lawsuits. Pierce's family trust was poorly managed. They were crumbling, and they had no idea the architect of their final ruin was watching from the shadows. The call came. Ms. Evans, her voice crisp over the speakerphone. "They're desperate, Ms. Vale. Prescott Industries will default on its loan within the quarter. Our fund is the majority stakeholder in their debt. They've requested a meeting." A cold, serene smile touched my lips for the first time in years. "Schedule it," I said, "and reach out to the Walsh and Thorne families as well. Tell them Catherine Vale is offering a lifeline." I hung up the phone and looked at my reflection. The timid scholarship student was gone. In her place was Catherine Vale, a reclusive tech billionaire, my creation, my weapon. The boardroom was a temple of glass and cold steel. I wore a tailored black Alexander McQueen suit armor for the battle ahead. My hair was sleek, my makeup impeccable. I looked like one of them, only better, more polished, more untouchable. They filed in, Mr. Prescott, Serena's father, looking haggard and defeated, Mr. Walsh, Blair's dad, sweating through his custom shirt, and Mr. Thorne, Pierce's uncle, who managed their trust, arrogant but nervous. They saw a severe, powerful woman who held their futures in her hands. They didn't see the ghost of the girl they'd destroyed. I didn't mince words. Your businesses are failing, your legacies are about to become footnotes. I laid out the brutal truth, watching them squirm. However, I am prepared to be merciful. I will restructure your debt, inject capital, and save you from total ruin. Hope flickered in their desperate eyes. It was pathetic. On one condition, I continued, pausing for effect. You will all attend a gala I am hosting next month, a public celebration of this new partnership. You will each give a speech expressing your profound gratitude. It will be live-streamed. They agreed instantly, falling over themselves with thanks. They were so eager to be saved, they didn't think to ask why. The grand ballroom was a masterpiece of ironic vengeance. It was a mirror of Serena's old penthouse, but magnified 100 times in its opulence. I watched from a hidden balcony as they arrived, Serena, Blair, and Pierce dressed in their finest, their faces a mixture of relief and obsequious awe. They mingled with my guests, believing they were being welcomed back into the inner circle. They had no idea they were lambs being led to the slaughter. The air was thick with their unearned pride. My hands were steady, my heart was cold. The lights dimmed, the live stream cameras activated. I took the stage, the spotlight making me the sole focus of the room. Ladies and gentlemen, I began, my voice calm and clear, amplified through the speakers. Thank you for coming. Before we hear from our grateful beneficiaries, I'd like to share a story about a girl who was condemned by the very people she's about to save. I saw Serena's smile falter. Blair looked confused. Pierce was watching me intently, a dawning horror on his face. The room fell into a dead, anticipatory silence. 5 years ago, I continued, my gaze locking with Serena. A scholarship student was accused of stealing a diamond bracelet. She was publicly shamed, expelled, and her future was destroyed. She was told she was a pathetic, envious creature worthy only of pity. I let the words hang in the air. You told her you felt sorry for her, Serena. Serena's face went sheet white. Gasps echoed through the ballroom. But it was all a lie. On the giant screens behind me, the enhanced security footage played, crystal clear. Blair slipping the bracelet into the pocket of my coat. The room erupted in shock. Before they could recover, I played the audio. Serena's voice, cold and clear, filled the hall. Make sure it's in the pocket of that hideous coat. No one will doubt it. The poor always covet what they can't have. The evidence was undeniable. The live stream chat was going insane. I looked at the three of them, their faces masks of pure, undiluted terror. You condemned me for being poor, I said, my voice dropping to a deadly quiet. So I made a decision. I decided to become so powerful that I would one day hold the deeds to your lives in my hands. I took a step forward, the click of my heel echoing in the silence. My name is not Catherine Vale, it's Wren. The final reveal hit them like a physical blow. You tried to erase me, but you only created me. I addressed the cameras, the live stream, the world. The bailout is cancelled. Every single loan is called, effective immediately. You are all bankrupt. The screams started then. Mr. Prescott slumped in his chair. Serena was sobbing, her perfect facade shattered into 1,000,000 pieces. The gala had become their very public execution. The fallout was swift and merciless. Prescott Industries filed for bankruptcy within weeks. The Walsh family lost everything to their lawsuits. The video of their downfall, of course, went viral, far surpassing the reach of the one they'd made of me. I was contacted by journalists, but I gave no interviews. My victory was their ruin. I needed no publicity. The only one who reached out was Pierce. He sent a long, handwritten letter, full of a genuine, belated remorse. He admitted his cowardice. I read it, acknowledged his growth, but did not reply. Some bridges once burned cannot and should not be rebuilt. I sit now in the sunlight of my new office, the headquarters of the Phoenix Grant Foundation, my organization dedicated to funding education for students like my former self. The anger is gone, replaced by a quiet, steady purpose. I look back not with bitterness, but with a strange gratitude. They didn't break me. They were the fire that forged me. To anyone watching who has been made to feel small, who has been told they are nothing, your beginnings do not define your ending. Let their cruelty be your fuel. Build your own future, brick by brick, until you are standing so tall that the people who tried to bury you are nothing but shadows at your feet.